said in one of his addresses, I think it was on the 15th of August, that he went on to say that there are going to be reforms which will accelerate the Indian economy to the next level. From 2014 to 2024, the Indian economy has doubled, Mithali. It was at 2.1 trillion, if I remember correctly, in 2014-15, and now we are sitting a little over 4 trillion. If this is the trend, that means that by 2035, India should be sitting at 10 to 12 trillion worth of GDP. How do you think that is going to be possible? We cannot rest on our laurels and expect this wave of progress to carry us. There has to be a certain level of internal reforms that need to be executed. They need to be implemented. The one that comes to the top of my mind is, of course, the ease of doing business and facilitating trade with countries which find it hard to deal with us.
No, absolutely. I think what has been, the mantra of this government ever since they came into power to today has always been to empower the private sector. And I think that has always been a central tenet of a number of reforms that have taken place. The implementation of these reforms, we won't say that okay, we did 100%, but at least the central tenet of the reforms was very clear. Now I think where we have to go in the next decade is to really make sure that the implementation of the reforms is as efficient and it guarantees the solutions that we are looking for. For example, when we think of deregulation, when we think of land reforms, when we think of labor reforms, we have to make it easier for MSMEs particularly, so that their working capital is not tied up in just paying fees and in paying for permissions, but rather to be used for actual business. And even when we look at, for example, the usage of land, today there's a research that has come out by a think tank called Prosperity, who I often look for, and they've actually pointed out that when you take a piece of land for a small enterprise, you actually need to keep almost 100% of that land aside for setbacks, parking regulations, and so on and so forth. There are so many regulatory barriers to setting up a business even today. So I think the future really is around deregulation. The future really is around easing the norms, easing the rules. Of course we need rules, we need minimum wages, for example, but do we really need restrictions on women working in factories till midnight or beyond that? I mean, so I think these are really the questions that we have to address at a domestic side to reduce the cost of doing business. But of course, at the same time, we also have to make sure that the businesses that we are opening or incentivizing are the businesses of the future, of which there will be demand in a modern economy. And I think that's where we have to also work on product diversification and R&D. For our textile sector, for example, to take it forward into technical textiles, or textiles which help to develop materials which are climate resilient. So really, we have to look towards the industries of the future as we move forward and look at innovation.
All right, fair enough. On